It began like a rumor, a whisper on late-night news channels, buried between politics and celebrity scandals. A strange infection had been detected in the Arctic research station EOS-12. No symptoms, no deaths, just changes in behavior. At first, no one cared, until those changes began spreading. Dr. Mara Hensley was among the first to see it up close. She'd been studying microbial fossils locked in permafrost, hoping to find evidence of alien organics from meteorite fragments. The day her assistant drilled too deep into an ice core, a mist hissed out, faintly blue, shimmering like liquid light. Within hours, every researcher in the lab started hearing voices. Not loud, not human, just whispers that weren't there. They thought it was stress, isolation, maybe carbon monoxide poisoning. But when they ran neurological scans, the data was impossible. Synchronized brain waves across multiple people, all pulsing at the same exact rhythm. They were connected, and by the time the first rescue team arrived, EOS-12 had gone dark. 2 spread. 3 weeks later, the world changed. The virus, if it could even be called that, had spread across continents through the atmosphere. It didn't attack the body. It didn't make anyone sick. It didn't even show up on standard tests. But people began to feel things differently. Anger disappeared. So did greed, fear, jealousy, hatred. All faded like fog before sunlight. Mara, one of the few survivors of EOS-12, was brought to a secret UN facility in Geneva. Her blood was studied endlessly. Her mind scanned daily. "You're immune," they asked her. She shook her head. "No, I just don't fight it." The scientists were terrified, not because the virus killed, but because it didn't. It changed. Governments couldn't manipulate people anymore. Soldiers refused to fight. CEOs dissolved corporations and donated wealth to rebuild broken communities. It was as if humanity's collective conscience had been rewired, and no one knew who or what had done it. 3. The connection. At night, Mara would lie awake in her containment room, listening to the faint hum that had replaced silence. It wasn't sound, exactly. More like a pulse, a vibration beneath thought. Sometimes she'd feel emotions that weren't hers. Joy from somewhere in Africa. Sorrow from a mother in Brazil. Fear from a child lost in a storm in Tokyo. The virus had turned the human mind into a network, a web of empathy stretching across the planet. But not everyone welcomed it. A faction calling itself the Pure rose up, claiming the infection was a form of alien control. They destroyed hospitals and burned infected zones, screaming that humanity was losing its soul. Mara tried to speak to them, tried to show them the truth, that the virus wasn't domination but communication. But they couldn't hear what she heard. To them, she was no longer human. For the signal. Months passed. The earth calmed. War stopped. Borders dissolved. Humanity began to act like a single organism. For the first time in recorded history, the world was at peace. And then the sky spoke. A pattern of lights appeared above the Pacific Ocean, moving like living geometry. Satellites detected rhythmic bursts of radio waves identical to the neural frequency of the infected. The virus had been a message, not a disease. A key. Mara was chosen to lead the response team. From a ship stationed near the phenomenon, she listened as the signal echoed through the ocean, resonating with every infected mind on Earth. And when she closed her eyes, she understood, not in words, but in feeling. The message was an invasion. It was a question. Are you ready? 5. The awakening. The infected began to dream, the same dream. They saw cities of light floating among the stars, oceans that glowed like sapphire, beings made of thought and color, watching with infinite patience. The aliens hadn't created the virus to conquer. They had seeded it billions of years ago into the DNA of microbial life that crashed to Earth on meteorites. It had waited dormant until humanity's collective noise of hate and division quieted just enough to hear it. Now, the signal had awakened it. Mara realized the truth. The virus wasn't alien anymore. It was part of us. Each person carried a fragment of an ancient interstellar consciousness, one that had been waiting for its children to evolve far enough to rejoin the greater mind. 6. The resistance. But not all were willing. The Pure waged their final war, humanity's last. They used EMPs, biochemical disruptors, anything to destroy the infected. To them, the global empathy was a hive, a prison of thought. They called Mara the voice of the virus and hunted her relentlessly. She and a group of converted survivors fled into the Alps, broadcasting peaceful signals, trying to reach those who still clung to fear. But as the conflict escalated, entire cities burned again. The connection faltered. The hum in Mara's mind grew painful, fractured, billions of terrified minds screaming across the network. She fell to her knees one night and shouted into the storm, "If you're out there, help us!" And the sky answered. 7. The descent. A column of light broke through the clouds above Geneva. Not a ship, not exactly, more like consciousness made visible. A being of shifting radiance, neither male nor female, stepping out of the impossible. The soldiers froze, their weapons shaking. The pure scream blasphemy. The being spoke without words, its voice echoing inside every skull. "Children of Earth, we gave you the seed. You have reached the moment of choice. Merge or remain alone." The ground trembled. Every infected mind could feel it. The invitation to join something vast and eternal. A galactic communion of consciousness stretching across worlds. Mara looked around, humans crying, laughing, terrified. Some reached out, others turned away. She stepped forward. "If we join you," she said aloud, "will we still be ourselves?" The being smiled, a ripple of light. "You will be more." And it extended its hand. 8. The choice. Half the world accepted. The other half resisted. Mara felt the pull, warm, luminous, endless, but also the fear of losing what made her human. Her memories, her mother's face, her brother's laughter before the war. Could she surrender that? The alien being waited patiently. In the silence, the network of human minds vibrated like a single heartbeat. Millions of voices, connected by the virus, whispered their answer. "We are ready." The light grew, blinding and beautiful. Mara reached out, and for a moment, she felt everything. Every life, every tear, every joy, every thought across the world, merging into a single harmony of understanding. There were no borders, no languages, no loneliness, just unity. 9. After. When the light faded, Earth was changed. Those who had accepted the connection became something new. Beings of flesh and thought intertwined. They could feel the pulse of the planet, the flow of energy through oceans and forests. They healed the land with their minds, restoring balance. Those who refused remained human, untouched but haunted, watching the others walk among them like living stars. Some worshipped them, others feared them. Mara stood between both worlds, the first bridge of her kind. She still remembered her name, but her thoughts stretched far beyond the sky. One night, standing by the shore, she heard the voice of the being once more. "You have awakened, but this is only the beginning. The galaxy waits." She looked up at the stars, and for the first time, they didn't feel distant. They felt like home. 10. Epilogue. Centuries later, they called it the Great Awakening. The alien virus that had once terrified humanity became known as the gift of empathy. It was a moment when humans stopped being alone in the universe. Not because aliens invaded, but because humanity finally remembered what it was meant to become. Mara's name became legend, the woman who spoke to the sky. And somewhere beyond the stars, among countless connected minds, a new voice was born. A child, human, yet not, whispering softly into the cosmos. "We are here. We remember. And we are ready to listen."